Hey guys, Mr. Strongslane here. I want to make a quick video to talk about our big election we have on Tuesday this week. We got a special election coming up. You may have noticed a lot of yard signs in people's yards and different signs, maybe some radio ads, maybe even some television ads for two different candidates. And I just want to talk a little bit about what that is about and give you kind of some background information on that. So, like I said, we do have a special election Tuesday. It's for our 7th congressional district, and it's called a special election because it's not usually planned. This is an election because our current uh, congressperson, his name was Sean Duffy, stepped down. He kind of like retired in the middle of his term. And so to fill that spot, they have another election. And so that's what's going on right now. So right now, in our area, we actually are not represented at the federal level in the House of Representatives, and we're going to elect somebody on Tuesday to take that spot. Um, Another interesting thing about this is once they get elected, they get to be elected for a solid few months before they have to run again because that person will have to run for a re-election in November. So there's a big election in November for president and lots of other things. This Tuesday, there's only one thing on the ballot, just one thing, and it's this for this congressional seat. It's the 7th congressional district for the House of Representatives. So it's this one thing on the ballot. That is the only thing. There's only one thing people are voting for. In November, there's a really big election. That's for things for president and a bunch of other things. So this person will actually have to run again, or they could both run again potentially in November. So that's an interesting aspect to this one. I've always talked about how I vote in every single election, and I can tell you I will not be voting on Tuesday. The reason I'm not voting on Tuesday, because I already did. It's an absentee ballot thing. It's a very common thing right now, especially with all of the things happening with the COVID-19 things. Same reason we're not in school. So you can apply if you're an adult that's 18 and able to vote, like I am. I applied to have my ballot mailed to me. So I already filled it out. I sent it in a few weeks ago. I do not have to go vote on Tuesday because I already did. And I just did it through the mail. So that's a common thing. If your parents haven't voted yet, they will need to go vote on Tuesday if they want to vote. They'll actually have to go to a polling place, whether that's their city hall or their town hall of some sort. They'll have to vote somewhere else. So let's take a look at our candidates. You might have seen some of these yard signs. There's one person, her name is Tricia Zunker. She is an attorney from Wausau, and she is running against Tom Tiffany. He is a state senator right now, and he is from Minocqua. So both on the other side of the state, more on the eastern side of the state than Cumberland. And I just have two pictures of both of them. Tricia Zunker is currently an attorney, like a lawyer, um, and Tom Tiffany is currently at the state level, um, and he was looking to move up to the federal level. So here is our state of Wisconsin. The 7th congressional district is this one. So Barron County, that's where we are, is right here. That's where Cumberland is anyway, is Barron County. So we are in that 7th congressional district. And it's really big. I've talked about this. It's a huge district. And you might look at this and go, wow, that is really different than maybe the 4th district down here. If I circle the 4th district, it's very small. And hopefully you remember the reason for that. The reason being is that about the same number of people that live in this 7th district also lives in the 4th or the 1st or the 5th or the 2nd. So even though these are very different sizes as far as area, these are actually very similarly sized as far as people. So the same amount of people live in these different sections, even though they're very different size. Again, when we talked about population, if I were to draw a little triangle shape right around here, I can fit, that is about 2/3 of the state of Wisconsin fits inside of that pink circle triangle shape. So the vast majority, so 2/3 of all of the state of Wisconsin lives right here in this little area. And that's just the way that the people of Wisconsin live. It's not as spread out evenly as you might think. So lots of people live in here. This is Green Bay. Here's Madison. Here's Milwaukee. And you got Kenosha, Racine, some of these down here. Oshkosh, Appleton, Fond du Lac, Sheboygan, Manitowoc are all over here. So really big cities all piled in here. Not so many in the rest. So this is why there's different sized congressional districts. Like I said, both are from over on this part of the state. Both Tom Tiffany and Tricia Zunker are from over here, this area. So, again, what we're talking about for this election is the House of Representatives is right here. It's this spot. So we're talking about a federal level of the legislative branch. Okay? So these are people who make laws at the federal level. We've talked about local, state, and federal. We've talked about legislative, judicial, and executive. This is what we're talking about, is this pink area that I shaded in right here. So we're talking about the House of Representatives. Currently, Tom Tiffany is actually right here in this section. He wants to move up. So he would be a state senator. Tricia Zunker, actually, interestingly enough, we talked about sovereignty. She's actually on a board for the Ho-Chunk tribe. So we talked about how different tribes have sovereignty like states, and they kind of run parallel. She would actually be on their Supreme Court right now. So that's kind of an interesting thing as far as their sovereignty. So she would almost fit in to this part of a tribal branch. So we're talking about federal level right here to go to Washington, D.C. and represent this part of our state. And also, interestingly enough, because of our pandemic, we actually will be having National Guard troops will be working at the polling places. They will not be wearing uniforms, but they may be helping people just dealing with the taking ballots, things like that, helping out with the election. So, interestingly enough. So, a few weird things about this election, being that it's a special election, so there's only one thing on the ballot. People only make one decision. There's nothing else on there except for deciding whether people want to vote for Tom Tiffany or Tricia Zunker. It happens to be staffed with very possibly National Guard workers helping out at the polls. And also, these people are going to have to run again in just a few months in November. Whoever wins, or possibly both, they could try to run again in November because they'll have to be elected again. It's only a 2-year term. And since somebody else stepped down, his name was Sean Duffy, who retired or stepped down to replace. So that seat's up again in November. So if whoever wins, if they want to run again, they'll have to run again in November. So not that long from now. So it's kind of odd that way as well. So just some interesting things about this election. You'll see the yard signs. Hopefully after this week, they'll probably all go. But you can tune into your local news on Tuesday night and find out who won. I hope you guys have a great rest of the week, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.